Hello, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm gonna do something a little bit different because I am known for being slightly dramatic and I feel like I possibly could embellish a story for effect, and I wanna do something that might become a regular thing, and that is story time with me. Because I've had all these really crazy adventures and I've had some really fun and interesting things happen that you guys have no idea about, and I felt like it would be kind of fun to share some of those with you. So I am going to start with one of my personal favorites, and it is the meanest thing that I have ever done to Chloe in her life. In 2015, Chloe was cast in a movie called Center Stage on Point. The movie filmed in Vancouver. She did tons of the filming like in downtown, in the surrounding areas, but because this was a movie that was set kind of in a camp scene, we had to go a couple of hours outside of Vancouver and film in this really remote location. And it was in the fall. So it was a little bit desolate and scary and just kind of cold. No, not kind of cold, like totally cold, like freezing. And because of the place that we were, the cast didn't stay in hotels. They put the cast in these little cabins. There was nothing around this area. So each night, like, we had to put in our order for dinner so that dinner would come, because there was really nowhere close by that we could even get dinner. And the first day, you know, they're like, okay, you're cabin 8. So, you know, we're heading down to get our luggage put away, and we come upon cabin 8, and I'm like, oh my God, like, this is really scary. It looks like something out of a horror movie. And I'm like, okay, it'll be fine. It's just Chloe and I. Like, she was 15 at the time, I think. And we're like, okay, you know, this is no big deal. It'll be fine. Everything is fine. There is literally nothing around to entertain me with, like nothing. Like no television. I barely had internet service. So we had to get creative. So Chloe films her first day, and we come back, and at the time she was still dating this boy, and she's outside FaceTiming him, and I'm texting my friend. And I was like, do you want to help me play a prank on Chloe? And she's like, sure, what do you want to do? And I'm like, okay, here's the situation. We're in the woods, it's far away. I'm going to tell you, you know, what she's doing. Do you have a way to block your number so you can text her like you're watching her from the woods? And she's like, I don't, but my son does. And her son is Brandon, which some of you guys might remember Brandon from the show. He came on Dance Moms, and he like went on this date with Brooke and everything. Well, Brandon's now grown and he's an adult, he's in the military, and he was like, sure, totally down for this. So we're up in these woods, and it's kind of dusky, and it's getting late, and it's just Chloe and I in the cabin. So she's outside, and she's on the phone, and she's FaceTiming Ricky, and I'm like, okay, let me know when you're gonna get started. So I take a picture of Chloe outside from the window, and I send it to Diane. Chloe comes in the cabin, you know, she's getting herself situated for the night, and all of a sudden her phone gets a text. And I don't recall what the first text was. It was something like, hey, what are you doing? Who is this? Or something weird, you know? And she's like, oh, I don't recognize this number. And she's like, should I answer? And normally I'd be like, no, never. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know. Go ahead and answer. Sorry, that was so lame. And so she's like, who is this? And they're like, Chloe, you know exactly who this is. And she's like, no, I don't. You know, Brandon's just like, you don't know me, but I know you. And she's like, what? And so this goes on for a little while. And so she's starting to get like a little bit freaked out because this conversation is going on, and I'm totally on my phone pretending that I'm not really interested in what's going on. Meanwhile, I'm texting Diane everything that's going on. And she's kind of like, this is fun. She's like, let's get this really going. So Brandon then sends Chloe a picture of the outside of our cabin. And he says, I hear cabin 8 is great. And Chloe's like, oh my God, I'm getting a text from someone outside of the cabin. And I'm like, no. And she's like, should we call production? I'm like, no, there's nothing going on. Don't worry about it. So this keeps going, and she's getting more and more freaked out. She's like, Mom, there's something not right here. And I'm like, no, it's totally fine, Chloe. Don't worry about it. And then Brandon texts her, and he's like, yeah, Ricky can't save you. And then he sends her the picture that I sent of Diane when she was FaceTiming Ricky. So he sends her a picture of herself from the woods. And Chloe starts crying. And I'm like, no, you're overreacting. She's like, Mom, we have to call production immediately. She's like, this is really scary. There's somebody in the woods. And I'm like, no. Meanwhile, if that really happened to me in real life, I would have been like out of there in no time. And I'm like, no, it's fine. And she's like, no, I think something scary is happening. happening? And she's holding an orange. So I text Diane, I'm like, she's holding an orange. So next thing you know, Chloe gets a text and he's like, how's that orange? And she literally loses her mind. Like, she's crying, she jumps on my bed, she's hysterical. And I, at this point, cannot contain myself. I start busting out laughing and I'm like, oh, okay. And she's like, it's not funny. She's like, they're gonna kill you first. And I'm like, no, nobody's gonna kill me. They're after the young virgin, because that's who they always kill in the movies first, you know? This goes on for about 15 more minutes. No, I would say maybe 10 more minutes. And I finally just tell her it's Brandon. Oh, no. So before that happens, he says something. She used to have this quote in her room, her bedroom in Pittsburgh, that said, give a girl the right shoes and she can conquer the world. Well, he started quoting that. Well, that is where Chloe absolutely lost her mind, was hysterical, lying in a corner, curled up in a ball, like wanting to die, because she's thinking that she's gonna die in cabin 8 in the middle of the Vancouver woods. And her evil mother is hysterical. Like, Diane and I are peeing ourselves because we're laughing so hard.
Don't forget you called Diane and she acted like a production.
Oh, right. So then I was like, you know what, Chloe, this is really, you're right, this is not safe. I was like, I need to call production. I was like, we have to get out of here. So I called Diane and I'm like, yes, this is Christi Lukasiak and I think somebody's watching us in the woods. And Diane's acting like production. She's like, no, you're fine. We don't have anyone who can come save you. Chloe's like, oh my God, it's us against the killer in the woods. And finally, Brandon calls her from his phone number that showed up as Brandon. And she's hysterical and she's like, somebody's trying to kill me in the woods. And he's like, then he starts saying things like, I hear cabin 8 is great. And she figures out that it was us the whole time. And I'm pretty sure that she could have filed for, you know, emancipation from her parents at that point, because I'm clearly unfit. However, it was one of my greatest joys in life to watch her scared to death, crying hysterical, and we needed some entertainment because there was no television in the woods in Vancouver. So that's the story of when I almost scared Chloe to death. I know, totally unfit mother. However, I have tons of fun stories like that to share. Can't wait to tell you another one, and have a great week. See you next time.